So today I'm going to be finishing up material from Esther Perel. As a reminder, if you haven't watched the other video yet, this is about love and desire and how those can be opposing or paradoxical needs of every human, but it is also the place where we find ourselves in between that, whether we want the security or we want the novelty. So we were exploring a little bit about being drawn, what brings us, what in that separation, that space to get close. And then now we're going to say what causes us to not want to bridge the gap. So this is all work that is not about sexual attraction, but sexuality is the most physical manifestation of this inner relationship between getting close and having it be direct contact. So there's a question she asked, and she did a lot of research on this. This is Esther Perel again, and this is all Esther Perel, and she says, I shut myself off when? When do I turn myself off? And these are the answers people gave her that she summarizes, paraphrases from extensive research across the entire globe. When I feel dead inside, when I don't like my body, when I feel old, when I haven't had time for myself, when I haven't had a chance to even check in with you, when I feel low self-esteem, when I don't perform well at work, when I don't have a sense of self-worth, when I don't feel I have a right to want or to take or to receive pleasure. But then what is it we turn ourselves on when? And she says, this is not something that we can all agree on. This is when I wake up and turn on my desires when, and it's personal. So how do we get information there? And so this paradox between love and desire, the ingredients that nurture love, which is mutuality, protection, worry, responsibility for the other, reciprocity, these are the ingredients that stifle the desire. So desire comes with a host of feelings that are not always the favorites of love. So love versus desire, again, are on two different sides, but they're not opposites. They're just often not, it seems like they're not able to be, happening at the same time. So we can turn on our desires when, right? This is the thread we're going through. So there are some feelings that are not always our favorites, and we have to explore them, like jealousy, possessiveness, mischief, naughtiness, dominance, aggression, and power. Mostly we get turned on at night by the very same things that we will demonstrate against during the day. She says this very playfully, but we tend to assume love is quite selfless and that desire is selfish. So the ability to stay connected with oneself in the presence of another, that is what allows for turning ourselves on. Reconciling these two sets of needs is innate. The need for connection and the need for separateness. The need for togetherness and the need for autonomy. And then there's this freedom to go out in the world to discover and explore, which allows us to come back by will and go out with security, knowing there's someone there when we get back. And this anxious, worried, guilting tactics from a depressed, needy, or manipulative partner will actually threaten our security because we come back unwillfully. We lose ourselves in order to keep the other. And, we go and come back, but constantly looking over our shoulder, expecting bad. We can never relax. The more connected and responsible we have to be, the less hot and desirable it becomes, and we can't let go in the other one's presence. And 3, we leave and we don't come back. So we have to find a balance. We want security in order to be able to let go. However, if we can't even go, we can't have pleasure. She says even in the sexual realm, we can't have an orgasm. We can't culminate in general, and we can't get excited because we can't culminate the desire. The desire cannot get satisfied. So if we can't go, which means we can't make that distance, so it's this go and come, and then we have to spend time in the body and the head of the other instead of our own. So let's trail that back and say, we wake up and turn our own desires on when, and clearly here, we are allowed to. Clearly here, it's when we are allowed to be ourselves. We will have natural desires when we're allowed to be ourselves. Our desires will always keep increasing when we have somewhere to get to. We want to get there. But if we're so busy worried because of this other person, their stress and their pressures on us, then we might love them, but we don't desire them anymore. And so how do we reconcile these two sets? And also just to say, we may desire someone, they're so far away, but we don't feel security. We may leave and not come back because it's just too far away. It's always too far, or it always feels like we're doing something wrong. We may have the desire to get there, but we don't have the love. So how do we reconcile the two sets? And she gives 4 points, and I'll finish with that. But she says, 1, there's lots of sexual privacy needed, which is an understanding that there is a erotic space or a desire space that only belongs to the two people involved. And this is obviously some kind of commitment. And this is a way to get safety, but also in this space, it's kind of like, this is where the explorations or the taboo can become aroused, really, but what I want to say is emerging. And then 2, foreplay begins at the end of the previous experience together. Or sexually, you would say, the previous orgasm, not 5 minutes before you want to be with the person. It's how you treat them from the last time that there was intimacy till the next time there was intimacy, which means pretty much all the time. There's always foreplay happening. It doesn't mean, and this is how to reconcile it. So it's close, but it's continuously leading up to something. 3, the erotic space is not about stroking each other. It's or in other words, touching to make the other one feel excited for something. It's about leaving the responsibilities away. It's about leaving management, work, citizenship, pretty much all the duties. So in this way, we can kind of stop having discipline, and that itself reconciles the two. So again, and then the 4th one is passion waxes and wanes like a moon. So we can know how to bring it back, which is to demystify, she says, the myth of spontaneity. That whatever is just going to happen in a long-term relationship has already happened. So what's she saying here? She's saying that committed sex is not just going to happen, will it happen, will it not? She says it's a premeditated, an intentional, a willful sex. In other words, even if sex is just the physical act, this verbal intercourse, this emotional intercourse that's happening doesn't spontaneously happen. It's willful, intentional, committed. There's a focus and a presence. So I'm going to summarize these 4 ways to bring together love and desire. 1 is to have a container of privacy for just the two people involved. Number 2, to recognize foreplay or getting close to something exciting happens from the end of the last time till the next time. The whole space in between is occupied with when it's going to next happen. Number 3, the space where there's this passion fire starting to simmer and get sparkly and feisty is when we leave all the responsibilities behind. For that time, there's no duties. There's just, let's see what happens and let's explore. And 4, there's a sense of that we're already accepting that passion comes and goes, and there is going to be less and less novelty as more and more familiarity continues as time goes on. And so it's intentionally a commitment to be passionate, and that requires focus, and that requires presence. So I hope that this was helpful and meaningful, and that it serves you. And I recommend checking out Esther Perel's work, her written work and her videoed work, and her talks that are on TED and YouTube. Thank you. Bye.